Well, welcome everyone to our December webinar. We have three wonderful guests here with you today, and I'm Kimberly Klein. I'm with LVI America. We are located in Sweden. Our headquarters are. I'm located in Las Vegas. I always tell people I live at the airport though, because I am in a different town almost every week, but I'm home today. Yay. I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada. So we were actually going to host this webinar in November, and it didn't work out for my three guests here to join. And so we pushed it to December. Today is our Living with Low Vision series. We host these, we try to do them 3 times a year. This is our last one for the year. It's a way to give back to the community by having amazing people that are doing great things. And we want to be able to share that with our wider audience. So we're really glad to be here. So if it feels like it has kind of a Thanksgiving theme to it, it kind of does, because originally we had talked about doing it in November. So Seen with a Grateful Heart, Catherine put together our PowerPoint, makes everything come together and look great. So she's got a nice slice of pumpkin pie, a cup of coffee, a candle, some cinnamon sticks, some pine cones, and everything you would think for the fall. So it says Seen with a Grateful Heart.
That's some good description.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, thank everyone for joining us today. We are recording, so if you have to get off early or you have a friend that wanted to get on that couldn't get on, please let them know. We will have this recording up. So as I mentioned, I'm joined with three, I feel like friends, because I've got an opportunity to meet them all, but they're all amazing folks doing great things out in the community and helping people, and just have an incredible story to share. So first person that I'm going to introduce, just to say hi, we'll run through everybody, then we'll come back through and ask some questions, is Suva, because he's the first one up on the slide. So Suva, say hello to everyone.
Hello, nice to meet everyone over there. This is Suva. Good morning. And yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Well, we have Suva live, but we also have a picture of him sitting in the lab that I've been in. It's the Assistive Technology Lab, Justin Dart Jr. Student Accessibility Center in Texas. But we'll talk more about that in a minute. But he's sitting in front of a computer. He's got some assistive technology there. But the main thing whenever I think of Suva is that huge infectious smile that he always has. He's always happy. He always makes people feel so welcome. And so, of course, he has that big smile in this picture today as well. The next thing on the next slide, we have Suva again, standing with that smile, holding a cane. And it says he's a man with an infectious smile, a passion for helping others, and a talent for understanding computers and assistive technology. So we'll do just a slight introduction through the slides, come back, and then we're going to have like a kind of like we're all sitting on the front porch talking conversation with some questions that we came up with for today. The next person I want to introduce to you is Liz Baker. Liz, say hello to everyone.
Hi, thanks for having me today.
Thank you. I was so fortunate to get to meet Liz in person last week. So happy to get to do that. But we did have Liz and Suva both earlier this year on one of our Living with Low Vision webinars. So if their names sound familiar, it's because we did have an opportunity to interview them and have them on earlier this year. The picture that we have here is Liz and Jill. She'll talk more about the team effort that Jill and her have together. But Liz has done amazing things. I have a list. I'm thinking of currently what she's doing, but also in the past, being part of the Olympics. So you see here the USA swimsuit on Liz, and she's got a great story to tell. The next actual picture that we have up is Liz in her office with a lot of medals. We'll kind of have her share a little bit more about her story and how she acquired all of those medals. But when I think of Liz, we think of spunky, witted, determined, and we have to add visually impaired. Yes, she is visually impaired. All these fine folks are visually impaired, but that's such a small portion of when I think of them because of all the other things that stand out. And Liz has a great family. Her husband, Brian, Liz, we also have Andrew and her daughter. Is it Eliza or how do you say your daughter's name?
It's Eliza.
Eliza. Okay. So we're thrilled. She's got a great family and she can share a little bit more about that as well. And of course, she's a winner. She believed she could do it, and she did. You see all of those medals there, but they didn't come easy. Liz has quite a story, quite a path to get to where she got. And she'll share a little bit more about that in just a little bit. Last but definitely not least is Kelvin Crosby. So Kelvin, say hello.
Howdy, it's so good to see you, even though I can't see you. It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Excellent. Well, we're really thrilled to have Kelvin here. Kelvin doesn't know this, but I hope to feature him next year for a full hour. I haven't had that opportunity to ask him. So, let's just put him on the spot when we go to talk to him today, and hopefully he says yes. But one of the things that stands out about Kelvin, I've actually known Kelvin probably longer than these two folks, just not had the opportunity to have him on the show. But we do see something here where Kelvin is sitting down making some pottery. He is deaf. He's known as the deaf-blind potter. He'll share more about that today when he talks, but this is what you see here pictured, and all the beautiful pottery that he's made is all around him. And Kelvin, I forgot to tell you, but Catherine, who put this together, hadn't met you, and when I gave her your information, she was so excited, went on, bought some pottery, and so she's super excited to hear this webinar today and find out more about what you do as well in regards to that. But Kelvin's a man of many passions. So the next picture you see of Kelvin, he has a cane, but it doesn't look like a cane. It looks like a lightsaber because it's all lit up, and he'll talk more about that. He's determined, he's passionate, he's caring. He is an entrepreneur for sure, and a potter, but he's a great individual, also a foster dad, and so much more. So we'll have an opportunity to hear more about that. But that kind of gives you a little bit of a feel for the three wonderful folks that we have here today. So I'm going to back the slide all the way back to Suva. And Suva, we're going to start with you with some of the questions that we ask, and then we'll probably just kind of go from there. And Liz and Kelvin, feel free to jump in any time. But my first question that I asked all three of you guys, and that you knew I was going to ask today, is what's been the most challenging thing that you have accomplished? So Suva, what do you think is the most challenging thing that you've accomplished?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that question. So Suva again here. The challenging thing is not, I like to think about it as everything around me, right? So that's, it's not just one item. So vision is a spectrum. So anytime your vision changes, if you're in the low vision spectrum to different level of blindness, your visual field changes, and then you have to readapt to those environments. So just simple things as transportation, working with various types of computers, various types of websites. I just worked on a ticket. It wasn't accessible, so I had to come up with the method. So just that little things is a challenge. So every day I get introduced to new challenges, right? And then I will have to find out using the toolboxes using the various tools and techniques and methods that I have over the years I've mastered. I just just see what works. There's not one method that will work for everyone. It's just whatever works for me, I just use and go with that method. So I don't know if that answered the question, but what I'm mentioning is everything around you is a challenge, and then we just kind of use different techniques and methods and tools to work around that challenge.
Absolutely. When you and I spoke earlier, we talked about how you just kind of have to figure it out as you go. And like you said, some days transportation may come easy, and things, they may show up, and things may work right. And some days nothing works right.
Exactly.
And you have to kind of go, ooh, what's plan B? And be okay with that, and just know that that's probably going to happen on the regular. And a lot of times it's not having 6 things planned out, but it's almost the attitude of, ooh, okay, yeah, things happen, and I've got to figure it out, and I've got to be okay with maybe even more things happening, because my vision is changing some, and my life is changing, so I have to deal with new things on the regular, and being somewhat okay with that, and being able to kind of move forward. So excellent.
Absolutely.
So Liz, I would frame the same question to you. What are some of the most challenging things you've accomplished? And feel free to share a little bit of your story because you've accomplished a lot of things, and it amazes me because when you first started racing and all the things you did, and you can talk to people, the types of races you've done, you didn't go, oh, I'm visually impaired, so how do I sign up and do things with special adaptations? You just went in, signed up for the race, didn't tell anybody you were visually impaired, and then like boom, like some things happened and you went, oh, I have to tell people. So share a little bit about that.
When you asked that question, that first question, I know, I'm well known mostly because of my low vision and my racing, but when I think back to my biggest accomplishment, I would have to actually go back to when I was at Georgia as a freshman, and I graduated from high school with pretty functional vision, 20/60-ish, knowing I had this progressive visual loss coming ahead of me, but who knows what to expect. But when I got to Georgia my freshman year with Stargardt, you usually have one huge decline at a time, pretty quick chunk of decline. So my freshman year, it hit me. I mean, I was at school using pretty much what everybody did, sight, to learn and how to get the input for everything. And I all of a sudden lost a significant amount of my vision. So I actually, if I look back on the span of my life, which I'm 50, so it's a good chunk of life, and I feel like I've lived it well. I think my biggest challenge was adapting at that point at Georgia, because that was 1993. Not everybody even had computers, and there was a closed circuit TV in the library. But everything was still visual. And here I am in these massive biology classes. And I feel like my biggest accomplishment was figuring out somehow just how to continue. And I graduated with honors with three Bs, all which came that first quarter when I had my large loss of sight, and then I got all A's the rest of the time. So I feel like my biggest accomplishment was figuring out just kind of how to manage that and how to still graduate with a biology degree and almost a 4.0 at the same time as learning to deal with a large loss of sight all at one time. So to me, that's my biggest accomplishment. Now I've done all these things after that I'm really proud of, but like, to me, that is the one time I really had to figure it out.
So do you think that helped you just move forward with other things, knowing wow, I figured this out. This was so challenging that when more things started happening as you moved on with your life, well, gosh, I did that. If I did that, I know I'm going to be able to figure something out. I don't know what the answer is, but we're going to be able to figure something out.
I think so. I also think that maybe innately as people, we just you are just sort of that type of person that, like at Georgia, I don't know that I necessarily thought oh, I can give up. That was never even my thought. It wasn't, I'm going to leave school, I'm not going to be able to do this. It was just figure it out. And so I think later the mentality that I got from that, it was that point at Georgia where I realized I can't control the vision that I'm losing. That is not something that's controllable. Never will I be able to control losing it. It's going to go if it's going to go. So I can control how I deal with the challenges that hit me. And that was really the mentality that I know I grasped that freshman year, that I think has lasted and I've kept with me with everything that I, come against in life these days.
That's great. It's so true. And that's just wonderful. Both of you guys, thank you. Calvin, we want to pose the same type of question to you. What are some of the most challenging things that you've accomplished?
Well, I think accepting deafblindness, and as we kind of talked about it, it's a stage. And for me, I mean, the day that really hit me, I went on a 3-month journey of trying to commit suicide. And that journey really I didn't want to live with deafblindness. And that pain, and understanding what that pain meant and how do you deal with that pain. And I remember how I came out of that was I found joy. I found joy in that pain. And I found joy in the challenging of okay, my hearing's been gone since birth, and my vision is getting to the point where I lost my driver's license, and I don't think I can keep doing this anymore. And just being able to say, no, I got a purpose. I got a plan. And there is a way. There is a way to move forward. And I'll never forget coming down the mountain, having that ability to say, it's going to be okay. I'm going to find joy in my challenge. I'm going to persevere. I'm going to build a character that has hope. So.
Wow, very powerful. You know, I've talked to you a few times about different things in life, and I know you've been through a lot, and like you said, you have to just get to the point where how do you find joy in that? It's not joy like, oh, I'm thankful in a way, you know, it's not like, oh, good, I can't wait to lose more vision. I mean, it's not that kind of joy.
Yeah.
It's different, but it's a level of acceptance, and you know, how am I going to move on? And I know all the things you've contributed and done so amazingly well, and the love that you have for your family and for the kids that you've helped, and all the other wonderful things that you do every day. So thank you for choosing to find that joy, and thank you for being here today, but just thank you for being here
Yep.
and staying, because I can't even imagine this world without you.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I think the journey that I went on, I mean, I just did an episode on depression and what is that phase, and I go back to those days where I was really struggling and really addressing that, and I realized, wow, I could do this, but it's gonna take some work. It's not gonna be easy. It's gonna take adaptation. It's gonna take technology. It's gonna take healing, and I mean that's why I came to the Potter's Wheel and started healing. And it really is one of those things when you deal with that pain, you deal with that depression, you deal with that loneliness, you deal with that unknown of what there. Once you deal with it, it's amazing what's on the other side. It's amazing how you can overcome.
You know, you kind of already answered my next question, which is, you know, what did you put into place? You talked about the Potter's Wheel. You talked about you needed to deal with it. You had to figure out a way to deal with it. And I think that that's true. You know, what do you think is the most rewarding thing, Kelvin, that you've accomplished? Because you've done so much and so many things.
Well, I think one of the most rewarding things for me is to see McCain and the lives that are being changed by that. Because it's estimated that 1 of every 3 blind individuals or visually impaired individuals are said to be hit by a car. And I've been hit by a car 3 times. And I tell you, it's quite the experience, you know, and it's a kind of an experience like getting a little old. And so, but what's interesting, I'll never forget being at CSUN at the consumer, being there and hearing people coming up to me and saying, in tears, saying, Kelvin, I can't believe you actually did this. I needed this a month ago because I was just hit by a car. It put me in the hospital for a month. And I'm just now able to get out and start walking, but I'm so scared to cross the street. And this cane is giving me that independence. This cane is giving me that freedom, that power, the ability to overcome that fear. And so it's one of those, the accomplishment building the CME cane and building it to where it is today. We still got a long ways to go, but it is pretty incredible to see the lives being changed. So
just kind of share a little bit about the CME cane. What is it?
yeah.
Why did you create it? And how do people find out more information in regards to that?
Yeah, so you can go to cmecane.com. So C, like you see me, and then me, like I'm me talking to you, and then
I'm going to put this in the chat too right
yeah,
now.
.com. And so right now we're still pre-order. We're in the store pre-order process because we just can't keep enough inventory at the moment. And so you can go and get pre-order. Is still right now taking about 3 months to get a cane. So you gotta be a little bit patient with me. So basically what it is, it lights up the whole cane from top to bottom, and you can either pick a all white or with a red bottom, and you can get it with all different type of tips from Ambutech. So you can get a pencil tip, you can get roller tip, you can get metal tip, the big ball tip,
Mhm.
all those things there, and it's threaded. So unlike what we're used to, we have the hooks and we have the push on. We use the threaded because our tube's a little bit wider than the traditional slip on tips can handle. So and then the way it works, there's an on and off button at the top, very tactile. And then there is, because I'm deafblind, I invent things related to tactile feedback. So there is no buzzing, there is no sound. It has a button to tell you that the light on or off by vibration. And then at the top, there is a magnetic charger. So similar like how the Apple Watch works, like magnetic connects it and you need to snap it in there, and it connects and charges. And you can use it continuously for 2 hours, but normally, given if you're low vision and so forth, you don't necessarily want that cane on for 2 hours because it will affect your usable vision if you're using it, especially in a dark environment. So I tell people, just use it when you need it. When you know
Right,
you're
it's a
not.
regular cane then, but then if you need it
Yep.
lit up, have it light up.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, that's really cool. I mean, I've seen the See Me cane. I started with you on the beginning of this journey, all the way up to where you're at this
Yep.
journey, to seeing you at conferences, to knowing where you're at, to knowing what the struggles are. You know, I mean, you've met my son virtually. We've been together on different occasions for different events. So I'm just so want to say thank you. I'm so proud of you. Didn't give up. You had people tell you this, you know, this could never happen and this is
Yep.
not going to happen. So thank you for
Yep.
doing that. It's amazing, and I know that it will change the lives of so many individuals, and I know that you and I've talked about different things coming ahead with it. So thank you. And I did not put the contact information for these folks here, but you guys can reach out to me and I'll give my contact information at the end. And I can provide you, and depending on what you're asking, I will reach out, and, you know, and versus just giving you an email address, I may get you a personal cell number, but I think that that's better. So that's how I left it for now, but thank you, Kelvin, on that. Liz, we're going to move back to you. What do you think's been the most rewarding thing that you've accomplished? And I'm going to switch back to your picture.
It's hard to say when you live, I mean,
You've done so many things, I know.
I don't, just not like that. It's just I've had a long life so far, thankfully. I mean, I've had a lot of things I've been able
Hey
to
girl,
do.
I'm 60, so you're young.
I mean, I have to say that I feel like my family is very rewarding. I mean, I have a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old, and anybody that's raised teens these days knows that's very, very rewarding. But I also have to say, I mean, it was super rewarding to represent the US on the paratriathlon team at both Tokyo and the Rio Paralympic Games. I mean, that was huge.
I can't even
and again,
imagine.
something that I never dreamt I'd ever do. It wasn't part of my path when I started out at Georgia. I never would have ever even, I would have said you were crazy. So very rewarding. It was an amazing, all those years of racing I just can't even explain how wonderful they were for me.
So kind of back up a little bit. Can you tell a little bit how you started with racing and just a little bit of the journey? Because it's amazing. Your story is amazing.
Degree, and then I went to PT school. And when I was in PT school, I kind of started running and swimming some. And when I got to Chattanooga and was working, I thought, I think I might want to do a triathlon. So that's what we're talking about when we say I just did it anyway, was I bought a bike with these tiny wheels. And I started racing, but I knew that I couldn't tell them I couldn't see, or they probably wouldn't let me in the race. So I just signed up to do these sprint triathlons, and without fail, I would crash every race on my bike. And I'd finish with road rash up and down both sides. And people would say, oh my gosh, what happened? And I just act like I was sort of dumb a little bit, like, I don't know.
Clumsy.
You're real clumsy. I don't know. I'm not sure. It was those railroad tracks. And then I finally wanted to do an Ironman when I turned 40. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do this right. And at the time they said I could still do it on my own bike and follow my husband on a bike. And then 10 days out, they were like, that's not happening. We would be at a huge law risk. So 10 days out was one of those times where I was like, oh my gosh, like this is one of those times where I just feel like having a pity party for myself. I've trained for 6 months and now my site is going to keep me from doing something that I really wanted to do and has been a passion and a dream of mine. Thankfully, my husband knew, so he took over the reins and he let me have my maybe 1 hour pity party, and he started getting on the phone, and I ended up doing the Ironman as a visually impaired athlete, which I didn't even know was really possible at the time. I found a tandem. I found people to guide with me through it. It didn't have to be the same person because it was so quick out. Nobody was ready to do a full Ironman. And then after that, I crossed, and somebody said, "You did that really, really well. Have you ever considered doing the Paralympics and trying to do triathlon?" And I was like, "No, I haven't." So at that point, I thought maybe I'll try that. So I got into racing as a paratriathlete, which I just sort of assumed wouldn't be extremely difficult and challenging. And I was so wrong. I'm embarrassed to even say that I thought that, because it is the elite of visually impaired athletes. And there's a lot of them around the world, and they're all very fast. So it was hard. It was a huge challenge. I mean, I trained 7 days a week for, 3 different disciplines of sports: swimming, biking, and running. So at least 2 hours a day while I was raising kids. I started when my daughter was in 2nd grade and my son was in 4th grade, and I ended in 2020, at the very end of 2021. So, and they're 17 and 15. So it was a trek. It was fun.
It's just amazing. I mean, I can't even imagine doing any of those things when I was 20, let alone starting them when you started them. And
I ended at 48. So I think it was high time for me to hang it up.
wow, amazing.
And I mean, in triathlon, if you're not a triathlete, you wouldn't know. But in triathlon, most places you're racing age group wise. Well, if you're visually impaired, you're just racing as a visually impaired athlete. You don't get anything for your age. So I was racing people that I could have probably given birth to.
Crazy. Wow, thank you. That's amazing. How about you, Suva? What's the most rewarding thing that you think you've accomplished?
Yeah, absolutely. So, first, it's great to hear the other, different point of views, different stories, right? Life experiences. For me, over here, I feel the most accomplished these days are the trainings, right? So, I've created various types of alternative format training, resources, trainings, assistive technology. So those, and just know the students, when students, faculty, and staff, whoever really wants to learn, when they hear about it and really understands how they operates and functions and works, that's great. That's just a good it feels, yeah, I wasn't really thinking that the trainings are going to become that popular, but they are, and a lot of students are benefiting from the various training options that we have. And yeah, it's just wonderful to see the accomplishment, right? So when I was a student, um, back then, there wasn't any training opportunities, right? So just having that, develop the creating these training sessions and directly involved with implementing and training, that's just huge at a large university, like University of Houston. So yep, so that's great. It's a great feeling. So
Suva, tell a little bit. I mean, you obviously weren't born in America. Tell a little bit about your story coming over, what it was like, when you first, got in Texas, what accessibility you had, tell a little bit about your journey.
all right. Well, I started telling a little bit about the current
Sure.
situation, but yes, good question. So what we go back, I'm from a country called Bangladesh. It's far, far away, right? It's a small country by India, so there's a lot going on, right? So Bangladesh moving to a new country, like United States, I landed in Texas and we stayed. I traveled around other states, but this felt good over here in Houston, Texas. So yeah, traveling from Bangladesh to here, the various types of adjustments that needs to happen, that that wasn't available in Bangladesh, learning about various types of technologies, that's huge. In various, other parts of the world, there may not be many opportunities, right? So depending on the economy, depending on how the environment is, how developed the environments are, right? So just that is huge. So now giving the opportunity that I can now train and teach others is great. Especially definitely for for knowing where my backgrounds are. Like Bangladesh is not a developed country, right? So so yeah, so that's basically the background. So I came here in 2008, and since then I studied in the education field until 2018. I graduated from University of Houston. So, so I graduated from this university, and now then afterwards I went to Chris Cole School for the Blind. I graduated from there in 2019. That's when I started to acquire some of the assistive technology certification. So I wanted to do assistive technology training. Didn't quite know exactly what field I wanted to be in. It was at the beginning, it was more of the state contract type of work. But then, when the call came in, it's like, hey, you were, looking for somebody around that type of same skill set, so everything kind of worked out. So, um, so yeah, that's basically just a little bit. And here I am after, what is it, since 2021 till now, almost 3 years, 2.5, 3 years. So I've been,
That's amazing. And I know the amazing things. You're very humble. I know the things you've done at the university. I know the changes you've made. I know the changes you're planning to make and are working on making. And it's incredible. So thank you. I don't live in Texas, but I'm thanking you because I know when you're changing a life there, who knows where those people are going to end up. And it's amazing. So thank you for caring so much about people. And I've been there at the university with you, and I know, again, you're very humble, but I know how important you are, and I know how much demand of people coming in. And it's not just vision loss, it's all different types of unique abilities coming in, needing to take tests. And Suva, what are we going to do here? And we have this person, and and you just on the fly, you figure it out and you make it happen. So
well, I have great colleagues, like, my colleagues help out a lot. So yeah, so that's the various colleagues, they assist with the whole project. It's a teamwork. So it's a whole team, working with me. I can't do all of this. I don't think so by myself, right? So just having the whole team definitely helps.
well, you're doing a great job. So talk about quickly some assistive technology you use to get through your education, and then some of the assistive technologies that you're using there at the university now.
Yes. So at our university, the first picture you showed, Kimberly, based on the description, it sounded like our assistive technology lab. And in that lab there's about 5 desks. I don't think all 5 desks are showing up on the picture, but there's about 5 desks. Each desk has a unique assistive technology. And since the creation, so we didn't have that lab 2 years ago. That's a brand new lab that's for students and training, and bringing awareness to the campus staff, also faculty and staff. So when anyone who wishes to learn about technology, that's the place where the design of it, where we go in and introduce various types of assistive technology. So some of them Kimberly are very familiar with. We have a tab. I don't think the tab and the student premier, the Maglink student, are in the picture, but we have a tab, we have a S, which is the Maglink S, the foldable version. Then we have various other types of assistive technology, Braille printer. There's a thermal printer. There is so yeah, we just have a little bit of everything. So And then we don't have to source out our Braille materials. We can create them here at the university. So at our assistive technology lab can produce Braille. So, and of course, tactile graph also. So, so all the assistive technology, then we go into various other, what do I use? Well, low vision, right? Vision is a spectrum. So low vision to now going toward more blindness. I rely a lot more on some of the screen readers a lot more, right? So screen reader, screen magnifier, Zoom Text, Fusion, right? So now the other side of it is I can't look at things from a single user point of view, right? So I have to look at things from a multi-user point of view, from a university-wide user point of view. So if a faculty wants to download Fusion, and how can they do that easily? How can they just launch it, download it, and get it up and working? How does all of those licensing works? So all the education, academic licenses, how everything just goes toward that. That's just what I also have to think about.
Absolutely.
And these days, yes, I mentioned that I have a MagnaLink S and the tab, and then at our lab, and then the various other types of CCTV. You might have known we have a Crystal Vision as a great people who we purchased some of this equipment from, right? And so we have those various CCTVs and hardware. And what I use these days would be the screen readers and screen magnifiers. Lot more toward the emphasis on the accessibility side. So on the web accessibility, form accessibility, things like that. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you very much. That's awesome. So Liz, we're going to go to you. I wanted to ask about assistive technology because first of all, tell about what position you're currently doing. And I know you have to do a lot of paperwork, and we've kind of talked about that. So talk about some of the assistive technology you're using, but what it is that you're currently doing.
Well, I'm a physical therapist, and I currently have a great teaching position at the University of Tennessee Doctorate of Physical Therapy program. And so for that, I'm not in a position that I have to be grading papers. I just have to be prepared for a class. So at home, I have a really good setup with 2 monitors and an HP laptop with a PC viewer to be able to read papers and things. And then I have an Apple iPad that I can use when I'm in class to take notes and things if I just want to bring something small. Where it gets a little hairy and where I'm hitting a challenge these days is the documentation for physical therapy. When I first started, was all paperwork. So it sounded like a really great job that the rehab coordinator, that my disability rehab specialist that I had when I was in college was like, PT is a great place for you to go. You'll be able to do it forever, no matter what the sight loss. Well, we didn't anticipate at the time that everything would become very computer based, because that wasn't even a thing. So now everything's network systems. So I'm on these little tiny laptops that the facilities have, and Zoom text and things will all glitch and crash at times, these networks, and sometimes you can't even get them on them. So I'm in a little bit of a challenging spot right now where I'm kind of hitting one of those bumps in my road where like I just am keeping it positive and realizing things are changing, and I always swim, so I'm not going to sink, and I'm going to come up with the right way to do what I need to do next. But I'm using the built-in magnifiers that come on computers to see just a tiny section of my computer work, and it's challenging. I definitely come home with headaches and things, but I keep doing it because I don't stop. But so at work, if I could take my current computer to work and actually have the networks put their patient cases and things on my own computer, but there's a ton of HIPAA violations and things. So it's a little bit of a challenge, and I'm in the middle of working through that right now.
Okay, that's great. And that's what we talked about in the beginning. There's always challenges.
Because I have a lot of great technology.
Yep, yeah, it's true. But like you said, you wish you could have everything that you have at home there.
And remember, I mean, I went to Georgia in 1993 when they had like these ancient closed circuit TVs, maybe one in an entire library. And there was nothing else. There wasn't really anything else for me to use. Zoom text at that time, I think, was pretty difficult to
Yeah.
use.
Mhm.
So I was using a dome magnifier, and I go to the disability services to enlarge into these gigantic sheets of paper every bit of book I had. So I'd spend all these days in there just copying and taking home all the papers. So I'm used to not having stuff. Now I have it. I just need to figure out how to use it.
Yep. And that's a process that we have a reseller in her area that can come out, and it has worked with her and will continue to do so. And, you know, we're here to support throughout that any way that we can. So,
Right. I love it all. And in fact, so I also feel like I'm at the point where I'm using less of my sight to use magnification, and I would
Mhm.
prefer to be going more towards listening and hearing what, and not having to rely on the limited sight that I have. So I'm kind of in a little transition phase, but I think that that makes us a stronger person in the long run, and we'll see where I end up.
absolutely, that's great. Kelvin, how about you? I mean, you're not just
Mhm.
doing the See Me Cane, you're not just doing and when I say just, that's a lot, but there's so many things you do throughout your day. Now you're in Colorado, you're doing fundraising, you do
Yep.
so many different things. And I know you use technology to do different things for different things you're doing. So why don't we talk a little bit about what you're doing and some of the technology you're using?
Yeah. So I used to be an adaptive technology instructor back in the day.
That's when I met
So
you.
yeah, that's how we knew each other. So I have a wide variety of skills. Like before I became to the point where I've had to use a screen reader, I would use ZimText and build websites and build businesses and keep creating things. So that was my main go-to. And then when the whole buyout and everything happened, I was a little nervous. So I went to NVDA and also just went straight to the magnifier on the Windows. And that's kind of what I've stayed. When I left the AT world, I stopped using JAWS and started using NVDA and Narrator, and really just trying to stick with what is readily available on my fingertips, because I'm always moving somewhere or on another device where I'm trying to fix one of my people. Like for example, my engineer, like she doesn't have any AT, and I got to be able to help her work on stuff and jump on her computer so I can hit control um Windows, enter, bam, there's my narrator, and let me do a couple things. There we are. So um so for me, and then I run my own radio show. So with that, I got to be able to navigate a live stream and then also the radio station and pushing the YouTube and all that stuff. And so it's having what I've found and is having the technology is on the system and then making that technology do the work. And so rather than having like JAWS or Zoom text, because what I found was is every time I do that, makes me kind of, I don't know, kind of crippled to that technology, when I could use VoiceOver and I can use Magnify, I can use NVDA, I can use Narrator,
Mhm.
I can use the things that are already built into the system and then code it out. Like I can script my own stuff, I can do fixes like that. And so like, for example, we've just brought on a new AI video editing system, not at all accessible, but I went in and found the key things I needed. And then so the team works on the editing, and then I come in, I can do my own parts of the edits and fix things, solve things. And it's a great system. I mean, why we invested the money in the software first, but it wasn't accessible. So how do you make that stuff accessible? I do have a MegaLink tab, and currently have it set up as my third computer when I do my radio show. And so, because normally when you're on the radio, you got to have one line into the radio station, and then everything else you got to mix into the radio station. So, and so it's one of those I have. So now when I have Narrator on going on that, and I have NVIDIA on my computer that I control the live stream, and then I use the iPad to do the rest with voiceover. So each voice is a different sound, and you just run it all together.
That's
And so,
amazing.
yeah, so it's a journey, and I feel you on that. In regards to trying to make a government system or a university system work. I've been there, done that, and that kind of pulled my hair out. I'll never forget working for the state. I used to be a job developer back in the day, and I kept getting called into the IT office because I
Yeah.
kept breaking their systems or getting in the areas of the network I wasn't allowed to be in, and
Yeah.
This does not surprise me about you, Kevin.
I had my problems, and eventually I was like, I'm done with this. So I left and built the AT program, and then now I'm self-employed and work for myself, and I build my own ecosystem. So
That's
that way
perfect for
people
you.
come into it. So
Kevin, what's your next big adventure? You've always got something brewing.
oh, right now, honestly, there is not a big invention coming. Well, I should take that back. We are filing for a nonprofit called Living Beyond the Label Foundation, and we hopefully will get approval next month. And basically, the whole idea behind it is to create basically it's a tier. So if you can't afford assistive technology, there's funding there for you. We'll be able to get it to you. You can have it. So if you can't afford a Seaming cane, you'll be able to go through this program and get the Seaming cane for free. And then the other part to this nonprofit is we're building out a manufacturing system. So we'll work with different state agencies throughout the country, like to say South Carolina, School for the Blind there, I think it is. No, some school out there.
Yeah.
But we would build out a production line there to build like seaming canes or build pottery mold pieces or just different things like that. And then we build a line, and then so there are grants that come in there, and then builds out that. And then we're also working on a invention arm where we can apply for grants and then invent new products. So one of my biggest dreams is to build a way for completely deaf blind individuals to be able to just pick up a phone and make a phone call. And how would you do that if you're completely deaf and completely blind? And so I have a rough draft of a robotic interpreting system that I built already. And so now it's going to cost me about $6 million to build, and there's not much of a market for it. So if we can get grant funding behind it, we can get these robotic hands out that will allow deafblind people to literally pick up the phone and make a phone call.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Wow. Very cool. Very cool. Liz, what's your next big adventure? We kind of started talking about that a little bit at your house, and I don't know if you can actually share everything, but
Well, like I said, I'm in a bit of a challenging time right now trying to figure out, do I just keep really working away with the tiny little magnifier? I need to really put in my work computers that I have from the facilities and put the narrator on and see, does that actually work in that system, and can I learn it? Am I patient enough to learn how to listen and learn and type? But there's kind of a theme here, it seems, and I feel like everybody, we all hit these bumps and everybody moves past the bumps, and a lot of people move past the bumps by deciding to do things their own way and inventing their own thing.
absolutely.
And so I am a PT, I'm trained that way. I don't want to go away from that. I love it. So part of me is thinking, do I want to maybe open up my own PT clinic where I get to decide what I have to see and what I don't have to see and how I get to do my documentation? So we'll see, maybe.
Wow, that's exciting. Because all three of you, I hear independence, I hear doing things differently, doing things uniquely, and that's so important and so great. So that would be awesome. I'd love to see you do that. Suva, what's your next big adventure? Because you're always on the move. Every time I talk to you, you've got something you're brewing.
Yeah, so adventure is, well, every day is an adventure.
Every
And so,
day's an adventure.
so
Absolutely.
yeah, right now I'm working on bringing in our several of our testing computers and various other process around the department to make it easier. So for because right now it's like pieces everywhere. There's a piece here, there's a piece there. So it's trying to kind of bring everything together in the 2024 year, so we can start the new semester as a whole, with not a lot of broken pieces, hopefully. And what I'm talking about is here is firewall systems, various other kind of like diving deep into the testing computers, right? So security risks, making sure everything is up to everything secure and ready to go for maintenance as another a big one. So you can call all of this as a part of the maintenance, basically. That's the phase I'm on. So that's not my work adventure. Now off work, maybe I'm not sure. This is just in the plans. It's just I don't know, not sure when exactly either. But Japan was somewhere in the list of my plans to go visit.
Amazing.
So that's a kind of like the adventure side. But
Cool.
other than that, yeah,
That's
really
awesome. Suba, who and what are you most thankful for?
Yeah, so thankful is definitely, just having the team that we have here at the Dart Center, and the various that's a huge help to day-to-day lifestyle, right? So to take care of our technologies, various options that goes into the resources that goes into implementing this technology. That I'm thankful for that. So basically having the backings of the administrators, right? Then also I have to thank and of course I'm grateful for the developers, the engineers, right? The engineers, developers who creates these assistive technologies. So the CCTVs, the MagLink S, the MagLink Tab, I bring those up because that's a part of the CCTV lineup, the various other types of CCTV software development, all of these things that goes into the creation and development, the WCAG guideline, which is the web content accessible guideline, so all of those guidebooks, guidelines, whoever is in charge of those items, night and day, they don't just come in and just start working, right? There's so much
Absolutely.
happening at the background. So I'm thankful for all of that work they put on. As a computer builder, I can hear the amount of work and feel the amount of work that goes into creating these devices and processes. So yeah,
Awesome.
that's my
So thank you. Yeah, our team will be appreciative hearing that. A lot of thought and work goes behind it. You're exactly right. So if you could give some advice to a person with low vision, just some of the things you've learned over the years, what advice would you give?
Yeah, so that my advice will be to anyone listening who are interested to be a part of to see what's out there, right? I would encourage to go reach out to your local communities, your local events. There's always a local group that's out there. So if you're in a Houston, Texas area, you can look for iBug. iBug is actually they're not just in Houston. They have expanded during COVID, so now it's an international. So every Monday you can go to ibugtoday.com. Actually, I'm a mentor in that. I'm a mentor. I work with students all over the state. As a volunteer, as a part-time. That's another little bit. I don't have that much. Time is a little bit. Of a thing. So didn't have that much time over 2023, but 2022, 2021, I was definitely working with one-on-one training session about voiceover. And the one thing about iBug is they only talk about iOS platforms. So they don't work with Windows. That's kind of like their own thing. So if you have questions about iPhones, voiceover, iPads, iMacs, or MacBooks, that's a good resource to reach out to. And then in general, just your local, I would say the, NFB, National Federation of the Blind, Houston Council of the Blind, I'm sorry, American Council of the Blind, those resources, I would recommend reaching out. And if you have somebody that you know who's low visioned or blind, and maybe mention that if you could set up a 15-30 minute informational interview, that's something I encourage. That's a huge one. 90-95% of the time, it's going to be a yes, so you can then learn more about what's out there, right? So, and then you don't have to copy it, you can just make those ideas and then meld it to adapt it to your needs, so you can make it your own. So yeah, that's
Excellent. Thank you. Those are great things. Thank you so much. Liz, I come to you. Who and what are you most thankful for? And then if you could give some advice to someone that's low vision, what would that be?
So I'd have to say I'm most thankful first for my parents, because I think they made me who I am today. Definitely. And then I'm very thankful for my husband and my kids, because they support me every day. I love them to death. I'm also really, in terms of the visual world, very thankful for the people like Cheryl, who owns Mountain View Low Vision. Because it's people like Cheryl and like yourself, Kimberly, that I feel make sure that all of this wonderful adaptive equipment is known about. It's brought to the doctors, it's brought to different low vision areas, so that everybody realizes it exists, because that's one of the biggest things. I think when you go to a doctor, a lot of times the doctor's just like, well, you're going blind, I don't have anything for you. Well, so I think with you and with Cheryl's, their goal is to ensure that the ophthalmologists and that different rehab communities, that people are aware that this stuff exists, and that you aren't just done. Like, you're not just blind. That's not where we end the story. You're not just losing your vision. There's so many great adaptive equipment pieces out there that can help you. So for that, I mean, obviously Cheryl has been my go-to, and I love her to death. So I'm so grateful for her. The one thing I would probably say about low vision and a younger person growing up, I think it can be pretty daunting and sometimes embarrassing, because you might look slightly different when you use different equipment. And I think that it sounds very vain, but I know it's a real reality, and I think just own it. It is something that makes you you. And I think that through the low vision, if you embrace it, it's going to bring you to pathways in your life that you never would have ever experienced had you not been low vision or blind. So really embrace it. This world would be not a very fun place if we were all the same. And this is just one little piece that makes you part of who you are, and use it and grow and do something amazing.
That's cool. So true. So true. Kevin, we're going to throw the same question at
Mhm.
you. Who and what are you most thankful for? And what advice would you give to somebody that has low vision or is losing their vision?
Yeah, I think I'll be definitely kind of echoing kind of similar what we've been talking about, but my wife and my family, my parents definitely they're kind of a little bit of my backbone of my business, and they're the ones that ship all the pottery, and they're the ones that ship out the seaming canes, and then yeah. So what advice I would give to somebody that's vision impaired is, you got to decide, are you going to grieve your vision loss over time with sorrow, or are you going to grieve it with joy? And and that, not an easy thing to work through. And I definitely encourage people to seek out counsel. Definitely seek nearby, like a Center for the Blind, or like a NFB or ACB, and work through that pain. Because honestly, that pain is it's not gonna go away. It's a matter of what is that pain gonna mean to you when you lose that more vision. Like when I lost all my vision, all my clarity at that point when I was in 2020, I wasn't really ready for it, but I had to decide, what am I going to do with that grieving process? And I decided I'm going to grieve it with joy. And I picked up the iPhone, learned voiceover, got a really small iPhone, and then really dive into the NVDA world, and took it and started learning how to build websites with it, build out a pottery business. I mean, it just kept building upon a building. And when you decide to say, I'm going to go with joy, you're going to persevere, and you're going to build a character that has hope. So
That's so true. So true. Such great advice from all you guys. Well, thank all three of you so much for your time. I know how busy every single one of you are. I really, really appreciate it. And we have set up our January webinar. We'll be back in January. Of course, everyone have a Merry Christmas and a wonderful holiday. Take some time off with family and friends and colleagues and just enjoy. But we are coming back in January. Tuesday, January 30th. We put it later because we have some brand new products that we're releasing at ATIA, and I can't say what they are, but January 30th, I can have them live. I'll be bringing them back from ATIA with me and have them. I don't even have them yet, but we actually have, well, one I can tell you about because it actually is in the US already. It's our MagnaLink 1, which we've had out for some time, but we've always had it with an HD camera, and it now has a full HD camera, just like our Zip technology. So it's our basic unit. It's our least expensive unit. It's about $1,000 less than a Zip, but now you've got that clear, crisp image, just like you have on the Zip with the 1. So that is here in the US now. We will have that at ATIA. But we will have several other new products that we will be releasing in January. So in this webinar, we'll fill you in on what the LVI dreamers and planners and engineers have been up to in Sweden, because they've been very busy, very, very busy. The big hint is, yes, I'll be introducing several new assistive technologies, and we're very excited about it. It is an informational webinar, so it's not eligible for ACV REPs, but you can register now. So feel free to go to our website, www.lviamerica.com/webinar, and register for this upcoming webinar. If you have questions about anything from today, or if any of us can help you, here's our contact information for our team at LVI America. The first one is Christopher. He does live in Sweden, so we're only giving you his email because trust me, you don't want to call. It's expensive. We have FaceTime on our phone, and normally we FaceTime, and I was very tired one day and accidentally did not do FaceTime and called Sweden long distance, got off the phone and found out I had $100 phone bill. So don't call, but you can email Mr. Christopher, and it's CHRISTOFER.Caswell, CASSWALL@LVI.SE. Or you can reach out to me at any time. You can either call me, text me, or email me. My phone number is 702-468-6611. And my email is Kimberly.Klein. Klein is CLINE @LVIamerica.com. Or you can reach out to Catherine as well. And Catherine is Catherine.Trombley. It's TROMBLEY @LVIamerica.com, or 802-236-4404. Feel free to reach out to any of us at any time, or you can go to our main website, which is www.lviamerica.com or info@lviamerica.com. And our toll-free number is, if you just have a quick question, Catherine, you'll get Catherine if you call on this number during business hours, or you can leave a message at 888-781-7811. So thank you guys so much. Hope you guys have wonderful holidays. I'm starting to get stuff in chat, so let me go quickly look. Everyone's saying thank you. So helpful to pass on to students with visual impairments. Thank you, everyone. Great webinar. Happy holidays. Again, if you have questions for anyone here today or want more information from Kelvin, Liz, or Suba, please reach out to me. Again, Kimberly Klein, 702-468-6611, and we'll figure out the best way to get you connected to them, because they are amazing. Love them all. Thank you guys so much. Merry Christmas. Take some time off and enjoy time, like I said, with friends and family. And for me, I'm going to sleep in. I'm just excited about not traveling.
Yeah. All
I'm
right.
going to take a nap.
Thank you guys. You guys have a good one.
Absolutely. Take
Thank
care,
you.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one, everyone.
Take care.